I recently saw this video by Captain Sparkles, and I know it's kinda old, but lawsuits take a lot of time anyways, so this video will probably be relevant for months at the very least.
February 21st, 2023, the United States Supreme Court is hearing arguments for a case called Gonzalez versus Google, which has major implications, not just for YouTube actually, but for the entire internet.
And it's funny because the lawsuit is big, but not a lot of YouTubers are talking about it, and I think it's fair. This lawsuit simultaneously needs more coverage and not at the same time. And what I mean by that is the lawsuit itself is pretty straightforward and I feel doesn't need coverage. Most likely, it won't go anywhere or ever be implemented in full effect because it affects not only the internet companies like Google, Meta, or the TikTok company, but also a lot of regular people or anybody relying on the internet for a creative outlet, not just YouTubers, but also musicians, movie makers, Instagram posters, Facebook posters, whatever. But what needs to be talked about is how companies like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch really brought this upon themselves. And I think rather than the lawsuit taking full effect, a portion of it surely can. And the companies do need to face some consequences, at least in the form of monetary compensation. I'll explain the lawsuit in brief. Jordan explained it pretty well, so check out his video if you want to know everything, but I'll just give you guys the gist of it. The lawsuit talks about Section 230, and I mean, it's just a legit lawsuit. And basically what the lawsuit says is that the recommendation algorithm of social media platforms essentially acts as a stamp of approval for all the content posted to the site, so the site is legally liable for all the content posted and may be sued for said content. For example, in traditional media like TVs and newspapers, all the stuff written or shown is approved by the people in charge, and any kind of hate speech or misinformation can be challenged in court, and essentially the company has to foot the bill, not the person who personally put out the piece of media. So usually they are more on the careful side, because whatever they put out can be used against them in full force. So you can see how this can be a problem for companies like YouTube, where up to now, they just feign ignorance by acting only as a hosting site. So if the content is hateful or just downright disgusting, YouTube doesn't face any recourse, and the person who put it out there faces it. And this might seem fine for most people, but in this age of fake news and clicks, there's just going to be another morally questionable person willing to take the risk. In the lawsuit, it does explain the reasons for the case. The algorithm has been allowed to run wild and only prioritize watch time and nothing else. And this has allowed hate speech, terrorism, misinformation, P-word communities, abuse, and R-word communities to gain massive numbers and just get bigger and connect with each other. And yeah, there is a problem. The same algorithm that allows for new and interesting videos, made careers and celebrities, also fosters a growing community who support terrorism and hate speech. And I'm just going to say it, YouTube and all the other social media companies totally had this coming. And I hope they do get fined a lot. I mean, I don't care if it hurts the CPM, I'm not making anything anyway. I just hate how companies can just let this happen and just not care. They know what's going on, but don't do anything to inflate their own numbers. Such scumbags.
Online misinformation has directly impacted elections for several years, and it continues to be a factor. Voters in Ukraine, Israel, and India are all participating in key elections that could change the direction of their respective countries.
But all three countries have serious issues with social media, from actual hacking to campaigns spreading lies about other candidates. And as Facebook policies change, so do the tactics.
Maybe it's easier when you can just sift the blame. Oh, it was a collective decision that we made to ensure future growth, and looking at the data we made up, we estimate the demographic affected is less than minus 1000%. Or we didn't know our platform was causing wars and resulting in the deaths of hundreds of people. We just don't speak the Hindu. Like, shut up. Shut up. These internet companies could just easily set up a department to manage these types of content. But I guess they just ran out of money. Maybe the executives could have taken a few less bonuses, maybe not go to that expensive restaurant with the weird owner who puts salt in a weird way. No, but the problem could be solved if only you guys paid a monthly subscription. And I know it's more complex than that, but the business model of growing until we've run out of people in the world is flawed and disregards any bad side effects for money. And if you think it's getting better, let me tell you, it's way worse than you can imagine. Because the platform essentially allows these people to gain an audience, and banning them is just meaningless at some point. And if you think it's bad in English speaking countries, it's a million times worse for non-English speaking countries. Because if the government doesn't do anything, the algorithm just spits out people like Alex Jones every Monday. Because the algorithm just wasn't trained using other languages and can't automatically filter out stuff. So they are like people way worse than Alex Jones who are able to gain massive audiences.
And sometimes the spread of misinformation is exacerbated by the fact that for many diaspora communities here in the United States, there just aren't many alternatives in their own languages. For many older Vietnamese Americans, there is such a vacuum of credible news channels that broadcast in Vietnamese that many turn to YouTube for their news, with certain channels on in their houses 24/7. One popular host based here in the United States is Nguy Vu, who brands himself King Radio. He's basically a Vietnamese Alex Jones, as you can see in rants like these.
China completely has control of Biden. The whole situation with Hunter Biden's laptop and the trove of data it contains, I think Xi Jinping has got his hands on all of it. George Soros was part of the financial plot to overthrow the Trump administration. Why are we still being forced to wear masks? Masks are killing people. If you're in a state that gives you the right to not wear a mask, and then you enter someone's house but they try to make you wear one, tell them F you.
I mean...
And my biggest problem with this is that companies like Google and Meta do nothing until they get a slap on the wrist. They could have easily just upped the moderation for the relevant areas, but no, they need hundreds of people dead and a lawsuit. Or the most effective way would have been if advertisers collectively threatened to not give them money until they fixed it. Then man, they would have solved this problem so fast. Of course, in this case, the question of what is appropriate also comes up. Stuff like this is honestly educational in my opinion, and also like books exist. If someone really wanted information on it, they would find a way. And stuff like hate speech, misinformation, abusive content should be outright banned. And I guess I'll give an example of an opinion and a hate speech, using my favorite dumb internet war as an example.
I think Android isn't as favorable because I don't like green.
This is an opinion, and this is hate speech. But at the end of the day, the lawsuit does affect the livelihoods of a lot of people involved with social media in any way. And the main reason why it probably won't go anywhere, there is just no significant winner. And like I said, it can be solved by implementing tighter restrictions for relevant areas, because the alternative would be to crack down on videos uploaded on the sites, and all platforms would just be a different flavor of YouTube Kids. They aren't just going to throw away the algorithm made from the user data of billions of people, which was designed to keep people on their platforms for as long as possible, whether it is productive or not. And I hope this lawsuit just elevates the platform, like how the Viacom case stopped all the stupid re-uploads and brought forth more interesting commentary by creators playing around with the restrictions to ultimately make better content, and how the DMCA brought a thriving copyright-free music community that has brought light to multiple artists. Sometimes I feel like I should just not care. Why even, right? Videos like these just feel like they get lost in the void and nothing happens.